Hello, welcome to my channel Devops with Prasanna. This is day 7 in Learn AWS in 30 Days series. So today we are going to talk about, today we are going to see how to host a static site with AWS S3. And along the way we learn about S3 also. So about S3. So S3 is the first service to be launched by AWS in 2016. And pretty much in all the companies I have worked, they'll be using S3 buckets. So that is like one of the important services. Yeah, we'll see how to set it up. Okay. So S3 bucket. First point is like why we should use S3 bucket. So this S3 bucket is nothing but a storage unit that is going to contain the blob objects. Blob objects in the sense it could be any type of file. So for example, you are having you are going to host a static site like how we do, which means it will have index.html, CSS files, some kind of images and other things. So all these files can be stored in S3 bucket. Let's say like you want to store your logs information, log files, which you can store it here. Let's say you are doing a big data processing, which means like you can use S3 buckets to store your big data file. So all the Parquet file or any other Delta Lake file or whatever it is, can store all the files here. And it can be used to like in uh, many other places where there is a need to store the files. Cool. And also it has integration with a lot other services also. For example, if when we are going to see the CloudWatch monitoring, we can directly forward the logs from CloudWatch to S3 bucket. So all those things are possible. And this S3 bucket, we are going to get introduced in this section, but we are going to use it in multiple places. So that is S3 bucket. So this will be of the format key and object. So key being the file path and object is the actual file which you are going to store. So this is how the format is going to be. We'll just create one S3 bucket and then we'll come into the details of the security and permissions. Okay, so go to AWS console and search for S3. Okay, that is like one S3 bucket which I've already created. And about the naming convention of S3 buckets. So this S3 bucket name, it should be unique, not only within your account, it should be unique across the AWS environment, which means if I create a S3 bucket like learn AWS in 30 days hyphen Prasanna, you can't create the same bucket in your code. So it has to be unique across the world. So that is the idea. What I'll do is I'll create a new bucket. I'll name it as learn AWS in 30 days hyphen. If I say hyphen Prasanna, this will not be accepted. So I'll say hyphen Prasanna 1. And then I'll leave all these things. Let the public access be blocked. This is for security reason. All the public access is blocked. We are going to see like what it means by blocking the public access and things like that. Let the bucket versioning be disabled. Default encryption, we'll leave it as it is. So we are just going to create a bucket. Okay, so cool. So the bucket got created. Now what we are going to do is we are going to upload 3 files. So these are the files which we already saw from the previous sessions. Like I'm going to use the same GitHub repository. So github.com/Prasanna. And you can go to the repositories there. Okay, this one demo blog learn AWS. So this is a repository which contains all the static files, and this is what we are going to deploy into our system. So this is a repository which we got forked from this Tailwind landing page, and they made some changes so that like we can customize a poster, we can customize the headers and all those information. So I've git cloned this one into my local, and just to build the static assets. So what we are going to do is this is a Tailwind, it's using Tailwind package. So we have to compile the Tailwind into the actual CSS templates, CSS files, which we can use in our HTML files. So I'm going to run something called npm run build, and again, like I'm quickly skipping all those things on the steps to build these this static assets, because this is the repository which we used in day 5 in the demo, the first demo which we did. So if you want, you can check that demo and get all the details, like how to run the build and what are the changes we made and things like that. But as of now, I'm just going to run this build. Yeah, and it got generated. So there are 3 files which are interesting for us. One is index.html, the other one is poster.png, next one is styles.css. Okay, so these are the 3 files which we want to upload it to our S3 bucket and serve the content. So what we can do is we can go to our S3 bucket, which is learn 30 days in Prasanna-1, and I'll say upload. I'm going to add files. I'm going to add index.html. I'm going to add poster. I'm going to add style.css. Okay, cool. So all these 3 files got added. I'm going to say upload. Cool. So now the files got uploaded. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open this index.html. Yeah, actually, like if you want to know, this is a website which we are going to deploy. So this is a index.html file. Okay. So there is a object URL. This is a public URL to access this file. But if you remember, we already blocked, like by default, all the public access to this bucket is blocked. So if I try to access this file, you can see the message access denied. But there is one more way to access this files. It is using pre-signed keys. So if you can see, the static assets are not loaded. For example, if I open the inspector, I can have all these things. And if I refresh this page, for some reason this is wrong. Okay. So if I refresh this page, you can see in the network tab that style.css file, it got 403 exception, and poster.png got 403 exception, which is forbidden because this file, we can't access this file. But somehow we could be able to access index.html alone. So what is happening here is there is something called as security token. And then if I go to the security token, you can see it's a very big string. I think, so this is a security token which was created for us, which means like because I logged into my AWS account, and there is a concept called as a pre-signed URL, which means it's like a short spanned token which got generated for us. And using that pre-signed URL, I could able to access this object. So we are going to see the pre-signed URL in depth in later sessions. But as of now, only using the pre-signed URL, we could able to access the files. So now what we are going to do is we are going to make the files accessible to public. That's how like we could able to post a website also. Yeah. So before getting into that one, we'll just talk about this theoretical aspect. We'll talk about this bucket access. Okay. So as we discussed, there are 2 ways to access the files. One is using the public URL. The other one is using the S3 pre-signed URL. So S3 pre-signed URL is coming by default for us if we logged into the AWS console. But in later sessions, when we are going to access the files programmatically, we'll see how to generate this pre-signed URL for us and how we can give it to the front end and do things like that. Okay, but now we are very much focused on this part, which is how to access the files using public URL. There are two things which you have to do. One is allow public access, and the second one is we have to set appropriate bucket policy so that like all the files will be accessible. So if you remember the bucket policy, this is the same policy document which we discussed in the IAM section. So we have to have statements like whether we want to allow or deny, and then we want to say what are the resources we are going to allow and to whom we are going to allow access to. So we'll create a bucket policy like this, and we can set up this bucket policy to this S3 bucket, and then we'll enable the hosting also. So this is what we are going to do now. Cool. The first one is setting the bucket policy. So if I go here, we go to permissions, you can see the bucket and objects are not public. So I'm going to edit this. I'm going to say this is block all public access. So I'm going to uncheck that one, which means all public access is allowed. And this is usually like it's not a secure operation because anyone can access your files now. So for example, even the audit team, they'll be having all the cost related information also in the S3 bucket. So which means if you allow public access, anyone can read that information. So usually it's not allowed unless and otherwise you know what you're doing. So in this case, we want to allow the public access. So we did this one. And the second one is we want to set up a policy. It's similar to the IAM policy. So we did this one. And to create the policy, we'll use a policy generator. Cool. So the type of policy is S3 bucket policy. We are going to have a allow rule, and we are going to say principal as star, which means anyone can access this particular bucket. And action is we want to say get objects. Get object. And it's asking for a Amazon resource name, which means in which bucket this policy should be applied. So what I'll do is I'll go here. I'll go here, which will say, yeah, this is my bucket. If I go to properties, so I can see the Amazon resource name. So this is like a unique identifier for all the resources. Like S3 is one of the S3 bucket is one of the resources. Similarly, each and every resource, for example, if you create a EC2 instance, that EC2 instance will get a ARN. So it's common across all the AWS services. So Amazon resource name. So I'm copying this name and then I'm adding it here. Okay. So I say like generate the get object, generate policy. So we could able to get this policy document. I'll copy this and then I'll put it here. So this is very straightforward. Like it has some unique identifier, it has a version, and then the statement array where we have the statement ID, which is like a unique. It should not be like unique also. So it's a ID which got generated. The action is important thing. So it's going to allow get object for this particular resource. Maybe like we should allow for all the files also. So slash wildcard star principal star, which means like anyone can do this operation. Now I'll save the changes. So we did two things: block the public access, set up the bucket policy. Now let us go to our objects and let's say like index.html. And now we'll try to access this URL. Okay, cool. So we could able to access this website. I think this is pretty much it is. So we have a domain and this domain is secure because AWS will take care of maintaining all those certificates and things like that. And we have the index.html file as well. Maybe like if I give something like this, you'll see access denied message. Ideally, it should be like 404 or some error page, right? But it is giving this one. So we will check about this concept. So we just have to enable one last piece, which is to make sure like this is a this S3 bucket is hosting a static website. So we can indicate Amazon about this. So if I go into my bucket, go to properties, I have something called a static website hosting. Use this bucket to host a website or redirect request. So I'll go and edit here. I'll enable this one, host a static website, and the first page should be index.html. And so like in case of errors, we can give error.html. So what we'll do is we'll upload this file also to the corresponding bucket. And we'll say save changes. Okay. So what we'll do is we'll quickly create that error.html file. I'll say error.html, which will have like HTML:5 in it. Error page. This is a error page. Okay, so this looks cool. I'll upload this file also to GitHub. Now if I go here, I can say upload this file error.html. Cool. So this file got uploaded. So we have error.html, we have index.html, and we have enabled the website details also. So if I go to this static website hosting, I'll get one more URL, which is like this. Cool. So we have, because it's a HTTP request, we are getting the like not secure warning. But we could able to host our website here, and it will have all the static asserts and things like that. Let's say if I try to access some page here. So it will redirect us to this error page, which will say this is an error page, not the access denied message which we saw earlier. Okay, so there are like a little bit more complex things which you can do with the redirect request and things like that, but we'll cover it as part of another discussion. But I think like pretty much we covered the basics of S3 and how to use S3 to upload the objects and things like that. And one point which I want to cover about S3 is S3 is a highly available system, and Amazon can guarantee that it can be available for 99.99% of time, which means the downtime is very, very minimal. So if we can post your site on S3, we can be sure like it will be available most of the time period. Okay, cool. I think like we came to the end of this lecture. Yeah. Hope it will be useful for you, and happy learning. Bye bye.